So it's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks, and I don't know if you're hearing a whole bunch of traffic noise in the background. I'm hoping not. I kind of want to write about it, but I don't really have the, I think, focus to sit down and write about it. And I haven't done a video blog in a long time, and I don't know if anyone's going to watch it. I'm not going to share this out in a bunch of places. Figure if you're watching, you're watching. I hope you're doing okay. It is currently June 21st, 2020, and it's been a crazy 3 weeks. It's been a crazy couple months. It's been a crazy time for everyone. If you're watching this right now, you're either in the midst of a lockdown or a semi-lockdown and confused about what's safe to do and not to do. You might be sick yourself. You might have a sick family member. You might not believe that there's actually a pandemic happening at all. You might be out in the streets marching for justice, for equality, to defund the police, which doesn't mean what you think it means. You might just be sitting there trying to distract yourself. You might be unemployed. You might be working from home. You might be taking care of your kids while also trying to work from home, or trying to take care of your kids while being unemployed. Whatever the case may be, I hope you're doing okay. That was a really long intro. I am out here in Lower Southampton Township, Pennsylvania, which is where my parents' house is. Now, you probably, if you follow me on social media, or if you're a good friend or just an acquaintance even, you probably know that my mother passed away 3 weeks ago on May 31st. She was in the hospital for about 3 weeks. She had a heart attack. Things were looking good, then they were looking bad, then they were looking good, and they were looking good. And next thing we knew, within 24 hours, she was gone. So I braved taking an airplane during a pandemic, actually taking 2 airplanes because it's really hard to get direct flights to Philadelphia from Orange County, California. And I came home. It's not really my home. I did live kind of near here when I was like 13, 14. But, I'm from California originally. I spent a good amount of my childhood there. I spent most of my developmental years and almost all my adulthood in Las Vegas, and then the last 3 years back in California. So, East Coast, I've only lived in I think a total of 7 years my whole life or something like that. So it's home for my family, at least my mom's side of the family, and not for me so much. It's smuggy, not surprising. It's been raining on and off, and last week was beautiful. It was actually really nice. It was in the low 70s, and it was actually pretty dry. The storms and the heat are ramping up. It's supposed to be in the 90s by Monday or Tuesday, which they say feels like 100 once you factor in the humidity, so I'm not looking forward to that. So it's Father's Day, and instead of spending it with my dad, who just lost his wife 3 weeks ago, he's spending it in the hospital because he also was not in good health. It's a chronic condition. It's got a few things going on, but I had to take him to the hospital on Friday because he was not doing so well, presumably because of, the stress of everything that's going on. Because on top of my mom dying, we're selling their house because he can't really live here by himself, and there's a variety of things going on. But it's a good seller's market here actually, even though there's obviously a global financial crisis going on and all sorts of crazy stuff. But luckily we had a lot of interest on the house, and we're in contract to sell it right now. But he's literally losing everything that was his life for the last 30 plus years. His wife and his house and all of his belongings, not all of them, but a good amount. My mom was an interior decorator, and my dad helped with that, and they did home staging and remodeling and stuff like that for people, and so they had a lot of really beautiful things and a lot of things that had significance, maybe not emotionally so much, but like, oh, we found this thing at this antique store. We rescued this thing from a garbage bin and restored it, and then we were gonna resell it for $200 or whatever. They're really good at stuff like that. Like before his health tanked the last couple days, like I came out here and got him kind of back up to speed. Basically, I've moved in. I mean, I packed one bag. I bought a one-way ticket the day that my mom was basically on her last day, and I was just like, okay, I'll be back when I'm back. My very patient and loving wife has, been taking care of the dogs and the house and everything on her own, and probably not eating very well because I do the shopping and I'm the responsible one when it comes to cooking. But she's been doing okay despite our dogs losing their minds, which probably is partly my fault for being gone. They got very used to us both being around all the time because of the pandemic, because she's working from home and I'm working from home, and we're lucky to have work, even if our salary's been affected. But so I'm kind of here indefinitely until the house sells, and the plan is to go back to California with my dad. The rest of his family's out there, and I'm out there for now. Until we can't afford to live there anymore, because who knows what's going to happen. It's been weird. It's been a weird time. Pennsylvania is in a very different place than California in terms of the effects of COVID-19. I mean, Philadelphia was hit kind of hardish, only because of its proximity to New Jersey and New York, but not as bad as LA area, obviously, and obviously not as bad as New York or Detroit or San Francisco. But things are opening back up here slowly. And I don't have any interest in going to those places, but like I needed to get out today. I did go to a coffee shop I found that was open. They had a lot of outdoor seating. It was really nice. It was like 15 feet away from the nearest person, so that was great. I just and I got a little writing done for the first time in 2 months. I don't know. So I'm packing up the house and dealing with all of the house sale stuff, because we're not using a seller's agent. So I'm basically being the seller's agent. So I've learned a lot about Pennsylvania's real estate requirements and all these weird little township and county rules and forms and regulations and fees. Man, they love to tax you for every little thing here. And look, you guys know I'm all about collectivism. I'm all about taxation to get benefits. But can we not just all have it go through one entity instead of like 15 different ones? It's crazy. Anyway, they got beautiful land here. It's crazy. It's a half acre, more than a half acre of land out here in Feasterville. It's kind of the boonies for me, but it's right off of like a main road. It's right off a street road which runs all the way through Bucks County in Philadelphia. So it's not remote or anything. There's a Panera down the street, like whatever. But it's aside from, I think you can hear the turnpike in the background, which is probably about 50 feet on the other side of this little wooded area that's behind the house. It's very private and peaceful. It's a nice little neighborhood. Not super diverse. Not here. When I go out, to some neighboring towns or whatever, it's much more diverse. Much more so than where I live currently, because I live in like one of the whitest parts of Orange County. But the people are super nice. The neighbors have all stopped by and dropped off food and cards, and they've been really nice. And yeah, I know it's hard they didn't live here long. They lived here about 4 years, and I mean, they were planning to keep the house for as long as they could, but my dad got laid off because of coronavirus, because he worked retail, and they shut everything down completely, just like they did pretty much everywhere else. And he got laid off basically permanently. I don't think that he's going to get rehired, and now it doesn't matter. So he's getting by on unemployment, and if we sell this house, it's going to help out a whole lot. And again, like I said, thankfully We had a lot of interest in the house. We had a lot of offers the first weekend that it was showing. So we're under contract. I'm hoping everything goes well with the appraisals and inspections and all that stuff. It's a cute little house. I could see doing something with it if it wasn't here in the middle of the woods. It's crazy. I just came from there's an area called Willow Grove and another area called Kensington, and they were both really nice. There's like a Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and new condos and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. There's some kind of nice areas outside the city. Not this not nice. It's very. I mean, people have lovely homes here. They spend all week taking care of the landscaping because everyone's got like a half acre. Plus, some people have more than that, from what I could tell. But, they say you can't go home again. And I guess that's not entirely true because I've gone home. I stopped by my... I lived in Northeast Philly when I was a kid I think from ages like 2 to 7 or 8, 9, something like that. And stopped by my elementary school, my old house, my old neighborhood, and it all looks very different to me, but 43-year-old eyes versus 7-year-old eyes. But the neighborhood's also probably gone downhill a bit over the years. I mean, when I moved to Vegas the first time, we lived at Sahara and Valley View, basically, or Sahara and Decatur. And anyone who lives in Vegas knows that the area back there near Clark High School, it's not the best. But when we first moved there in the late 80s, everything was new. The apartment complex we moved into was literally under construction when we moved. So it seemed fine to me. But when you're a kid, you don't notice those things. You don't know what blight is like. You don't really notice crime so much. And there wasn't that much of it back then. I mean, the area I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, Panorama City, it's not very nice. But it seemed nice enough in the 80s. But I know that it was changing, and I know that gang activity was coming in, and but when I grew up, it was a happy, diverse, relatively lower middle class place. I never felt lower middle class, and I don't think that we were. But I'm finding out a lot of things as as I dig into my mom's paperwork and my parents' financials and stuff, and it's hard to have to be kind of the support for your parents as they get older. And my dad's not that old. He turns 60 next year. And if you're trying to do the math on that, he's my adopted father, so it's not really that hard to figure out. But he's got all these medical conditions that make it a little bit harder for him. It's not that he looks older, it's just that he's got diabetes and all sorts of other stuff. I kind of actually thought that he was the one that was going to need a lot more care, and my mom always seemed fine, and I think she was just hiding a lot of stuff, and we didn't know that she had a genetic defect in her heart. Her heart had some sort of weird shape, which made it hard for them to get in it and fix things, and they never got a chance to. They never got a chance to do a bypass or anything like that, and because of the coronavirus, no one could really see her in the hospital for most of her 3 weeks in there. And that really sucks because she was alone. They had a great staff taking care of her at the University of Pennsylvania hospital in Philadelphia, but she was alone. And my family, my brother lives here, and obviously my dad was here, and all of her, her nieces and nephews and her family's here. My cousins. But no one could see her until the end, basically. And that sucks. And right now my dad's in the hospital and I can't go see him. He's by himself. His outcome's going to be very different, hopefully. They're just pumping him full of nutrients and trying to get him to where he's feeling good enough to get out. But I can't go visit him, and it's Father's Day. I dropped off a card. He's with it. He's asking for he wants his electric shaver, and he wants a clean shirt and his hairbrush because he's like me. He's kind of not vain, but he likes to keep up his appearance, although I don't look great right now. I'm, 4 months out from a haircut, and I didn't really do anything with this mess today. I just bought some razors. I have them delivered from Target, along with some jeans, because I think I've lost some weight, and I bought some jeans before I started doing all this exercise and training and stuff last year, and that was a bad idea because they immediately were too big. So I basically have had like 2 pairs of jeans that I could wear, so I bought some new jeans, which I guess is a good problem to have. I don't know. Yeah, so this is where I am, and I'm looking forward to getting home and getting this weird detour of life kind of done with, and it's just figuring out my dad's next steps, where he's gonna live and what he's gonna do and all that kind of crazy stuff. And I need to get back on track with finishing up Parkway Broken Dreams. I was like, all through the lockdowns, I was like, okay, well, I can't go anywhere, so I can just spend all my time editing when I'm not doing other work. And it was going great. And I was like this close to finishing an edit of the film. I mean, some folks may have seen that, I did a little Q&A like a month ago, I don't know, whenever it was, and we did a little preview from the film, and I did some test audience stuff, and it was good. And I can't bring my whole editing rig with me. I have my laptop, and that's it. And so that's kind of been on pause again. There's always something coming up. But I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And by the time I get back, maybe it'll be safe to do in-person filming of things again. Maybe it won't. I don't think it really will be, not without appropriate protective gear and distancing, because despite the fact that a lot of your governors and local officials think that it's okay to move to whatever, a yellow phase or a green phase, they're wrong in most cases, especially in places where you've seen that they've had to roll back because coronavirus cases are spiking again. You know why? Because most places have not even flattened the curve. They're still rising. The first wave has never ended. And, I think you're going to have to get used to, even if everything opens up, doing everything in a new way. But people don't do it. I was at Whole Foods today, and I'm standing, at a distance, but Whole Foods has taken down at least here, they had lines. They had like, stanchions separating aisles before, and they had markers on they took it all. It's gone. Now it's sort of like, okay, wear a mask and please keep your distance. People aren't doing that. I was standing there at the deli line, like waiting with, a lot of distance between me and the next person. This lady just came up right next to this other woman, like, and get right around her to see what's in the deli case. And I'm like, lady, you can't do that. First, under normal circumstances, you shouldn't get that close to someone you don't know. But like, in the middle of a pandemic, don't get up there breathing on some stranger. It's just rude. So this is why. If you open things up, people are just going to be jerks. And that's just going to be the new reality. So do what you can to protect others from you. Do what you can to protect yourself from others. Don't go take unnecessary risks. Do what you can to support your local businesses. But don't be a dumbass about it. Don't go to parties. Don't do those things. Don't expose others to that kind of nonsense either. Anyway, if you've watched this long, I'm so sorry. This has been this is, I guess, me keeping it as real as I can keep it. I don't even think I'm going to edit this thing. I shot some footage of some things that I was like, well, maybe I'll edit it in, but we'll see if that happens. I might put it in, but I don't think I'm going to do any sort of actual editing. Bless you for watching this. And I'm hoping for there to be something more productive and constructive next time that I post a video blog. Jesus, it is humid out here. I'm going to go inside and enjoy air conditioning while I try to file my parents' paperwork that's been just thrown into a cabinet for who knows how many years. So hope you are having a better Father's Day, and If you haven't yet, call your dad. And if your dad is a deadbeat or abusive, fuck him. Bye.